Hey guys, in this project we're going to be building a very simple application called DevLogger. Okay, so in terms of functionality, it's very simple. It's just an application that a design or development team would have to just make very simple logs. Okay, not really extensive messages or anything like that. Just simple logs or tasks that have been completed. All right, so basically you would type in some kind of message, like let's say starting coding, and then the developer name, and submit, and it'll just show up down here with the task, the developer, and the time. Okay, and it's going to be ordered by time and date and time. All right, we can easily just delete them as well. All right, so we're going to be using obviously Angular 2 for the front end. We're using FeathersJS, which is a framework that's similar to Express in a way. It's a back-end framework. It gives us a RESTful API right off the bat. We barely have to do any coding on the back end. It's just all set up for us. So we'll set Feathers up, and then we'll connect to it through Angular 2 using the HTTP module. And then in the front end, we're going to be using a different CSS framework called MUI or MUI. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but it's an alternative to Bootstrap. It's very lightweight. It's really nice looking. You can see they have their own little style for forms and the nav bar and so on. All right, so very simple application, but I figured we could experiment with a couple new technologies that we haven't done yet in this course. All right, so let's get started on this, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, so we're going to jump in and start to create our backend framework and API. Now we're using Feathers, which makes it extremely simple to set up a RESTful API that we can make requests to. So what we're going to do is go to feathersjs.com and click Get Started. And if we go and click on the Quick Start, that's going to give us some commands to get things set up. All right, so first thing we want to do is actually install the Feathers CLI. We want to install it globally. So let's go to our command line, and we're going to say npm install and put that -g and then feathers-cli. Okay, and that'll go ahead and install the Feathers command line interface. All right, so once that's done, we're going to create a folder. So I'm going to say mkdir, and I'm going to call this devlogger, and then we're going to just go into that folder. All right, now from here, you can see over here, we want to generate an application using the command feathers generate. So let's do that. Okay, so it's going to ask us the project name, devlogger, that's fine. Description, we'll say simple logging app. And it's going to ask us what type of API. So we definitely want it to be a REST API. And we'll also have the option to use socket.io. Okay, but we're not going to get into that in this project. But we're just going to click enter, and we're going to enable for all domains. And then it asks us what type of database we want to use. Okay, you can see that there's a lot of different compatible databases. The default is this NEDB. All right, so that's what we're going to use. We're going to use the default. And then this is going to ask authentication providers. We're just going to keep local. And it should go and create all of our folders and files. All right. So let's see. We don't want to run npm start yet. What we want to do is create our service. Okay, so you can see over here, to create a service, we just need to do feathers generate service. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so it's asking us what we want to call it. So we want to call it logs. And what type of service do you need? You can see the default is database. That's what we're going to choose. We're going to choose NEDB. Do we need authentication? No, we don't. All right, so now what we're going to do is add that folder to our editor here, devlogger. All right, now you can see we have a source folder. This is where the services are held. If we go to services, you can see we have logs and then our index.js, and this file represents the service. Now I'm not going to really get into the code in Feathers in the back end. The RESTful API is pretty much just set up for us automatically, and I don't want to make this overly complicated or make it about Feathers. I want to stick to Angular 2 and just use Feathers as a RESTful API. Alright, but from this file you can choose things like the max returned, pagination. You can see the default's 5. I'm actually going to set paginate to false, okay, because I don't want any kind of pagination. And then that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to do here, so let's save that. Now we can go and try to start this up. You can see we just need to do npm start. Actually, we got to get out of this. Control C. Alright, so then we'll do npm start. And I believe it starts on port 3030. So let's go over here and go to localhost port 3030. Okay, so this is the landing page that it gives us. Now if we want to go to our service, remember we called it logs, so we can go /logs. Alright, and you can see that we just have an empty array here. Alright, so that's it. Our back end is set up. In the next video, we're going to go into this public, this public folder right here, and that's where we're going to set up Angular 2.